Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to day 7 of the Herstory Online Summit. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And I am graced with a beautiful panel of women coming from 3 different countries,
And continents.
continents. Introduce yourselves, ladies. Let's go around the room, starting with you, Ruth, Teresa, and then our beautiful chairperson for the day, Manuela.
Good
Thank
morning,
you.
everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, whatever time we find you at this time. My name is Ruth Dengwani. I am in Harare in Zimbabwe, and this is our 7th day. Yes,
Yes.
welcome.
Hi, I'm Teresa Truscott. I'm based in the UK, and this is the first time I've been on here.
Fantastic. Welcome to the tribe.
And good morning. My name is Manuela Garcia, and I'm here in Auckland, beautiful Auckland, New Zealand, and it's a pleasure to be here with all of you. Thank you for having me.
Fantastic. So, Manuela, I will introduce Teresa because I know her really well. This is a beautiful woman who I met on a Facebook group, I think.
Yes.
And we have stayed connected because of our passion for education.
Yeah.
Teresa has been actively involved in helping the building of a school in Uganda. We recently did a fundraiser to try and help expand the school. So we'll start by showing that video, and then Teresa will speak to her work, her passion, why she does what she does. So, Teresa, thank you so much for gracing us with your presence. And I think it might be good to also let people know how you started off and how you found this project, because
Oh gosh.
the
Okay.
power of the internet is just amazing in connecting us with like-minded people. And you seem to have a knack for that.
Thank you.
This is
Well,
the story.
yes, it started with me being involved in something called passionate marketing, which is reaching out to people and making friends online without selling to them, but just serving people.
Fantastic.
And
Okay, so I'll play the video.
oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, let me play the video and then we'll come to you to give us the speech, okay?
Full story. Okay.
All
Thank you.
right.
Hello everyone. My name is Mugisha Namwangwa, and I was born and raised in Democratic Republic of Congo. So in just 2015, when I was 17 years old, due to political disasters and conflicts in the country, I left Congo and came to Uganda. So with my brother, without parents, so I was found in a refugee camp where it is actually a new environment, and the country I came from is a French-speaking country. So where I am is now an English-speaking country. So I need to go to school again. No one to pay for me school fees, but I have this desire to go to school. So what I did, the very first step for me was to look for the way I could learn English. So I went to a training center where they teach English. So in just the first week, the teacher of English chased me. So he sent me away. For one reason, I did not have money to pay him. I lacked the school fees. So I came home when I was very disappointed, and I thought my dreams could never be achieved anymore. So when I came back home, in just 2 weeks, I met a guy who is called God Given. So this guy told me that, you man, I can teach you English only if you're able to make for me local bricks, the mud bricks, the adobe bricks. If you are able to make for me bricks to construct my home, and in my home, I will be able to put a room, to avail a room that I can use for teaching you English. So I started making bricks for him, and I made for him over 3,000 bricks. So these bricks, he used them for constructing his house, and also he constructed a small room that he could use to teach me English. So I made bricks. So in just 3 months, the guy started teaching me. And after the next 3 months, I started speaking English, even the one I'm using here. So I started speaking English. So looking at my life story when I was young, so the desire of helping other people who don't have access to what I have did stop. That's why I told you my dream or my heart of helping young children as me when I was very young turned into a serious thing, and here it comes. So I saw a good number of children a good number of teenagers like me who don't have access to quality education. So they don't go to school. So, and as I'm talking right now, if you can check on the UNESCO website, the Uganda is one of the sub-Saharan Africa, and it is one of the countries having a great rate of education exclusion. So when people come in the country as refugees, they don't have access to education. So what I did, I used my bricks making skills to construct a school like this one. So I made bricks and collected some young teenagers in the village where I am in the camp, and then I constructed a school. So this school has supported over 350 children every year since 2017. So, but then as we are moving forward, the school got damaged. So you can see the walls, like everywhere there is a way the school is kind of going down. And I was looking for possible ways I could reconstruct this school and make it more safe and a conducive learning environment for the young kids in the community where I am. So in networking with different people, I met an enthusiastic guy called Jan. So Jan is an architect from Germany. He lives in the UK. So I told him about my project. He asked me a number of questions. How did you build this school? I told him the story, and that we are using naturally and locally sourced materials, so like the adobe bricks. So he said he could volunteer to make a design and come on the ground to construct for us this school to make it a good learning environment so that a good number of kids could have access to quality education here. So Jan, with me, put together a number of materials that are needed, and the budget fall in to a number, a good amount of money of $15,000. So we started fundraising for this money. And in the journey, when I'm telling this story to different people, I met one of the people who have supported me in this journey, and the lady called Theresa. Theresa has been my professional mom, actually. I was reaching to her to learn things to do with leadership, how to build a passionate team. So I met her and telling my story to her, and she got very inspired about this, and she felt it is something big that she could be part. And she volunteered also to help me, and we are looking forward to reconstruct this school. So we are still fundraising for the money. We have not yet reached the goal, and if you support this school, you will have supported thousands of kids who will learn from here. And yeah, it will be actually a lifetime. There is a quote that says, when you are making a plan for a lifetime, you just educate people. And this is what we are doing. We are educating people, but the learning environment is not conducive. And this is the reason why we are here, making it more conducive with your support. So we are reaching out to you to request for your donations so that we can make this building safe and well equipped for the kids to learn. Thank you so much. We shall be glad to have your support.
Thank you for showing that. He's an amazing guy, Mugisha. I absolutely love him. Very briefly, Mugisha, I mentioned passionate marketing. Part of that is having a group. And
Teresa?
Mugisha, sorry.
sorry to interrupt you. We are going to exit from the stage
Right, beg your pardon.
and leave you to do your thing, okay? So don't feel like we are not here. We're listening in the background, okay?
Oh, okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Yes, so Mugisha became part of my group. I have a couple of refugees in my Facebook group, but Mugisha um, is one of those people who is very self-motivated and has a great vision, and it's very easy to work with him and become passionate about his school. And he mentions there that we hadn't raised the funds. At that point, we hadn't, and as Gertrude mentioned, we had an event which helped to top up the funds and make sure that we had enough to get started. And I'm so excited to tell you that not only have they demolished that old school that you saw in the video, which was falling down, but they have also now started to build the school. And I had other films that I could have sent, which were showing them digging it out and building the walls and everything. But they've actually, this week he sent me a photograph to show they're up to the roof level now. So it's absolutely amazing. But part of it was also involving other people. My group is called Building Your Passionate Team. And that certainly happened in this project. I was fortunate enough to have other people in my group who were also as passionate about this project as I am. And they helped out enormously. There's a gentleman in America who gave us lots of advice and also was involved in fundraising. He has mentored Mugisha, and there were people who were educationalists who became excited about what would be taught in the school, because you can't just treat it as a normal sort of government funded school, because the refugees have different needs. As Mugisha said, they're coming from, well, certainly war zones, places like that. They potentially speak a different language. They've lost everything. So you can't just go in and say, well, you've got to learn your mathematics, you've got to learn your science, you've got to learn, it's also building them as people. And as he said, if you want to change the world, then you need to educate people. And I feel very passionately about that. This isn't necessarily the only school that we will be working on, because of the team that came together to do this, and the people were so passionate around it that it's actually generated a lot of interest, and we're hoping that to do other things. The gentleman in America that I mentioned has talked about buying some land and getting Jan, the architect, to design some small homes. Because in America they have a thing about tiny houses, and selling those and using that fund to build more schools. So it's very exciting. I also have a friend who runs the Billion Child Appeal, and that is educating. His aim is to educate 1 billion children throughout the world. And he's doing that through mainly through access through governments, but that has a parenting program that's associated with it, because there are a lot of children who end up having to parent their siblings because their own parents have died for one reason or another. So there are really, really important projects that are all kind of interlinking for me. And I think that's why I get so passionate about it, as Gertrude mentioned. Gertrude, I'm not sure what else you want me to say. Perhaps if people have questions. That was
You will bring our panel on. You have lots of questions for you.
fantastic.
Welcome, ladies. Manuela, take over.
Welcome, Teresa. What a beautiful video. I wasn't that was the last thing in my mind. I don't know what I was expecting. My something one of my questions is, where is your passion for education? Do you have any connection to education whatsoever?
Yes, I trained
You
as a
do.
teacher. Initially, I trained as a teacher. I have two aunts who were also teachers. One was a headmistress. And even though I left teaching after 3 years and went into the computer industry, that side has always been part of me. And even when I worked in the computer industry, I might have actually written the programs, but then
Yes.
computer programs, I then went and trained the people in how to use them. So it's always been there. And I'm also a coach as well as a trainer and sort of personal development side now. So it's still there. I think it must be, like the rock. It's imprinted through
That's
me.
beautiful.
Teacher.
There's nothing more tangible than building an actual school where the community can benefit and come together. And it's something so beautiful because you're bringing together people that are coming from, as you say, from war zones, from other from dangerous situations, and you are bringing all these people together and offering them hope.
Yeah.
And bringing
Well,
them as part of the community is a beautiful project.
it is, because, and that was key. That's one of the things that Jan the architect, was really keen on, was using local labour, and part of the funding actually involved being able to pay the people. So
Yes.
it's not just people volunteering to do it. They're being paid a fair wage, and also they're learning the skills that they can then use again and become contributors in society.
That's
So, it's
fantastic.
a fantastic way of doing it. Yeah,
Can I ask a question?
of course.
Teresa, the campaign that you did with all of the speakers, explain how you did that and how much you managed to raise from that.
Oh gosh. Actually, it was it was a bit of a disaster.
In what way?
Well, we put it. I have a friend, Lynn, who's a children's author, and she became very passionate about this project as well. And she and I put on an event that was. It was meant to be for a couple of hours, and we had several speakers, including Gertrude, who very kindly allowed us to use one of her TED Talks because the timing was kind of middle of the night for Gertrude. But I think we didn't find as many people as we'd hoped to actually come on board and buy tickets for it. We were offering it at a very low price, and it was actually, we were terming them donations. And we what we did was we said to people, yes, you can buy the ticket for, I think it was £10, and our aim had been to get 100 people, and also when they went to buy the ticket, they could also add another donation, and it told them something like, for £5, that would pay for 50 bricks in the school.
Oh, yeah.
So what happened was, people very generously, when they bought their tickets, would buy, some people bought one lot of bricks and some people bought 2 lots of bricks. Unfortunately, there were only about 6 people who bought tickets. And on the actual event, there was Lynn, me, and the first speaker. So we'd got all these plans for having breakout rooms, and because part of it, part of it was to also give something to the people who were attending. So the intention was that they would watch a video or listen to a talk, and then go and discuss it. But of
Okay.
course,
Okay.
there wasn't anybody to discuss it with. But having said that, we did raise over 100. I think it was nearly £200,
Okay.
which you consider, between 6 people.
That's a
was
lot in
quite a good.
Africa.
It is.
It's
It
a lot
is.
of money.
The majority of the funds that they were talking about actually came from Jan, the architect. He was
Okay.
absolutely magnificent. I don't know how he did it. I think he bullied people, actually.
That works too.
Because originally it was meant to be that I would raise 5,000. Jan would raise 5,000, and Tim, the American guy, would raise 5,000. Well, I think Tim raised 500. I raised about 500, with other donations and things,
Mhm.
and Jan raised 15,000 by
Oh,
himself. Oh, sorry,
wow.
my dog's joining in.
No, it's okay. That's okay.
Hello, baby.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
it was
amazing.
phenomenal. I think he went to some corporates. He had good
Okay.
connections. So,
That's just such a beautiful story.
hello. Yes, sorry.
I just want to say to Teresa, thank you so much. Thank you for the work you are doing. And most times, really, like he said, like Mabusha said, that of the refugees are not given the attention, and they are still expected to pay school fees when they come into countries, even though they are coming from their lives have been disrupted and they have nothing. Basically, they're just running away with their lives, and they have nothing, yet they're still expected to pay school fees. And what a phenomenal young man. And
Oh,
thank you so much, Teresa, for the work you're doing in Uganda. What
thank
I
you.
wanted to ask is, so the school that the one that you're working on, is that only primary school, or it's both primary and high school?
I believe it does both,
Okay.
because it's certainly they've got primary school children, but there is another video. It's a very, very long one, which is why I haven't said play it today. But Mugisha actually, it shows the demolition of the school, and he talks, the voiceover tells all about the figures in sub-Saharan Africa and Africa as a whole, and the dropout rate of children, or the access to education that children have. And I think the point when they become teenagers for boys is the point where they tend to leave school because they need to go out and work for the family or whatever. And for girls, it's about age 6. It was very young. I was surprised at that.
Mhm.
I don't know whether you've got any figures yourself.
Oh,
Any of you others? Yeah, Gertrude, do you
in
know?
Zimbabwe,
Yeah,
you start working the minute you can hold a hoe and go into the field.
yeah,
It's yeah, and I mean in first world countries it's considered child labor,
Child
but
labor. Yeah.
everybody in the home has to contribute
yeah.
towards, putting food on the table. And the unfortunate thing is the education of the girl child is normally sacrificed for boys.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So there's a big drive to try and keep little girls in school as much as possible, definitely.
Mm. Yeah, and my other friend Alan that I mentioned, who the Billion Child Appeal, he says the same, that then the way they're getting people to allow their children to attend school is to actually invite the parents in. They feed them. And I think you do a feeding program as well, don't you,
Yes.
Gertrude? And by offering them the food, they get them to come to the school, and then they can explain, and they realize that by having an education they can do more than if they're looking after the family goats. They can actually end up bringing in more to the family. But
What
it
actually
takes.
happened with our school project is when we started giving the kids a bowl of porridge every morning, all the villagers started sending us the under 5-year-olds every morning for food.
Yeah.
And Ruth and I were like, okay, what do we do now? So we started a preschool. And what that did is it frees up the mothers who normally go into the fields with babies on their backs in the hot sun. They have a safe place to leave the children. And we have more kids now. The school became so popular because of the feeding program. So you're right, food is another big aspect. When we started the feeding program, we had a drought in 2007, Ruth. And then we had torrential rains. The whole of Southern Africa was flooded. And Ruth and I got to the school one day and we noticed the kids coming into class, and within 10 minutes, they would all fall asleep. And we said to the principal, what's going on? The kids have no energy. And he explained that the children were eating 2 or 3 times a week if they were lucky. There was just no food in the whole of Zimbabwe. It was heartbreaking. And so the food became an incentive to get more kids in the school. For us, it's a double whammy. We're giving them nutrition, we're giving them an education. So it's exciting.
Yeah.
Manuela, who else wants to speak? Get the ladies to contribute.
I am fascinated by Teresa's story, Gertrude. Oh, absolutely. I'm really grateful that Teresa is here sharing with us, because it's not just the kids. It cascades to the families and to the entire community. It's just beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that's what excites me about it. It's also touching generations, because by having that
Absolutely.
school there, Mugisha was talking about 300 a year going through, but you
Yes.
think how many will go through over time, in 10 years.
It's a
or
legacy project
It
you've
is.
started here.
Yeah.
Jump
That's
in
beautiful.
here, ladies. Selena, I saw you.
Yeah, and thank you so much, Teresa. I know once you do something for the village, you are feeding, the whole community. So, I mean, I was a teacher as well, so I understand the joy of, parents sending their children to school, and they know that they're going to be comfortable and well looked after, and there are people who cares. Even as a child, I think when they learn and they're happy, they produce better results.
Yes.
So thank you so much for doing that, and with your team, I am so grateful to you.
Thank you. I think it's mainly down to Mugisha. I didn't explain what he was talking about at the beginning of his video, but he actually walked 600 kilometers with his
Wow.
young brother when they were he was 17. I think his brother was younger, to get out of the war zone. They were on their own. They didn't have parents. So for him to do what he's done, he's now headmaster of the school. He's brought people in internationally to help, and I mean, he's just amazing what he can do, and he's such a great leader. He's only 24, and I can almost see him becoming president one day or something. He's got a vision that is way beyond one school in the camp, and he's so proactive. Gertrude very kindly introduced him to someone who does holes for the water, because they needed water to make the cement for the foundations.
We had Sebastian on the call yesterday. He
Did
came
he?
and spoke yesterday. Yeah.
Oh, lovely. Oh, fantastic. I mean, that was amazing. They actually found that they didn't need to do a borehole.
No,
Because,
I know. Wasn't that
yeah,
fascinating?
yeah. They found a water source that a pipe or something was nearby. So it was so much cheaper for them.
Yes.
They just linked up and they had water.
Wow.
So, ladies, you listened to Sebastian yesterday. I just did a Facebook introduction with Teresa and the Uganda team. And Sebastian just asked a number of questions. Have you checked this? Have you checked that? And the water was already there. Now they just had to put a pipe. The school has water. They didn't even have to drill a borehole.
Beautiful.
Oh, amazing.
That's so
And that's what
beautiful.
happens when we connect pieces of
Yeah.
knowledge together.
Mhm.
Kim, welcome, welcome, welcome. Lovely
Oh,
to have
thank
you here.
Thank you very much, Gertrude. It's nice to join you. I joined late, so I didn't hear your whole presentation, but I can go back and look, correct?
You can go back and watch it. So it's a
Yes.
school in Uganda. And
Very
like I
good.
said to you on Facebook, the theme today seems to be education. That's why I invited you to the panel. We'll have you speak in a few minutes after Fiona,
Sure.
because I know you are also another educationalist. Your passion project is something we need to highlight as well.
Oh, fantastic.
So we'll go on to our next speaker, Manuela.
Lovely.
Who is our next speaker? Is this
Fiona.
Fiona? Wonderful.
Yes. All right, we will exit stage. Where is everybody?
How do we do that?
I will move you out.
We're not actually living. We're still here.
Say that again.
We are not actually living. I'm saying, Hedra. We just
Oh yeah, no, we're here. We're here.
background.
All right. So our next speaker is coming to us from the United Kingdom. Fiona, welcome. You and I have connected before. I believe you're going to do your presentation live, correct?
Yes. Are you speaking to me? Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So we will leave the stage. Don't feel like you're alone. We're just in the background listening, okay?
Okay.
You can
Fiona,
start.
we can't wait to hear your voice and to hear your story.
Okay.
Wonderful.
My story started when I was small, and when I was around about 6 or 7, and I was sexually abused by my father, and from there, I hadn't talked about it for many years. I never talked about it for many years because I felt ashamed, I felt dirty, I felt guilty. I had all those feelings. I had hatred. There was many different feelings that I had. So I never spoke about it for a long time, until about, I think it was 3 years, 2-3 years ago, when I spoke on Facebook, because I believed that God was telling me that I needed to start speaking to women who've been abused, and basically to speak to women who had been abused, any kind of abuse, because when you're being sexually abused, you're also tormented, and it's also physical abuse as well. So God started, because I'm born again. I'm a born again Christian, and I've always believed in God. But I became born again when I was 26 years old, and if it wasn't for God, I would have been dead now, because when I was growing up, because of what I went through, because of the sexual abuse, I took an overdose of tablets, and I did wake up. I had the most horrific dream. My mum was staring at me with these really, really green eyes, and it was so horrible. So when I woke up, I was quite frightened. And then what happened was, I said to myself, I'll never do that again. And also, one of my brothers, they tried to strangle me, and I went through a lot. I went through a lot as a child, and I used to go long walks and speak to God about it, because I didn't know him like what I know him now, but I used to take these big long walks and speak to God about it. But what I want to do is, I don't want to see anyone being ever hurt, or any children. I don't want to see it being happening. So what I believe is it needs to be stopped. I believe that more people need to speak out, and I know some people, they can't really speak out about it. But for me, I believe that it's important that we all start speaking out. And I would like to see laws changed. I would like to see people who know anyone who is going through abuse. I would like them to start speaking out, not to hide it, because I had an aunt who I told about what had happened to me when I think I was around about 10. I told my aunt, and all my aunt could say to me is, "Did you clean yourself? Did you change your underwear?" And to me, that's quite shocking to say that to a child, a 10-year-old. Because what does a child of 10-year-old know about sex? They don't really know nothing about sex, because at that time the school didn't really talk about anything like that, because I was born in the 60s and I'm 59 now, so at that time that wasn't talked about. It's like what I find is it's like a taboo. No one really wants to talk about it. They want to just keep quiet about it. But for me, I believe that it needs to be talked about. It needs to be a subject that's opened up so as it can help a lot of other people who to come up to get healing. Because when you've been sexually abused, as I said, you're suicidal, you feel guilty, you feel ashamed, there's many things that you feel, but most of all, the worst part is when you hate someone, because it holds you bound. If you hate someone, you're bound. You can't do nothing, you can't go forward. Even though you want to go forward, you're not able to go forward because you've already been bound. So for years, until I got born again when I was 26, I held all those things in, and then I was told that I needed to forgive my father. But at that time, I was surprised that I could forgive him, because I always used to say, I can never forgive my father. I'll always hate him until I die. But then when I was told I needed to forgive, because I'm born again and I believe in God and I believe in Jesus, that Jesus died for me, and so I'll do anything for the Lord. So I had no choice. I had to forgive my father, and so I forgave him. And as I said, I'm not really spoken out until I've spoke to a couple of people and who have been through it, and they've also they still have unforgiveness. So I try to explain to them, because when you forgive somebody, you're releasing yourself. You're actually setting yourself free. And a lot of people don't understand that, because they just have so much hatred towards that person that they can't let go. And I can understand it can be very hard. So what my goal is to see things changed. I really would like to see things changed. I would like a law as out to persecute anyone who's found, who knows it's happening, who's not saying anything, because I believe that's important, that we need to protect the children. And also I want to see women who be healed and to be able to let go of that unforgiveness and all that anger and everything that's inside them. So that's my goal. That's what I want to do. Okay, thank you. I can't think of what else to say.
Fiona?
Uh-huh.
Thank you so much. From the bottom of my heart. What a powerful and touchy story you have. And I need to commend you for being here with us and using your voice, sharing your
in your life.
Sorry?
Well looked at.
Oh, pardon me. Sorry. Yes, it's just really I found it very interesting, because you talk about forgiveness and you talk about wanted to see women healed and wanted to see things change moving forward. And I have to commend you again for being that change, for being that example, by sharing your story, sharing your powerful pain and everything that you went through, because I know it's not easy, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yes. I wanted to ask you something. 26 years old. It sounds like that was a turning point in your life, Fiona.
Yes, it was.
So what happened at 26? What were the trigger points that help you one day to say, we're going to draw a line and I'm going to open my heart to forgiveness. I'm going to start doing things differently, or change needs to start happening. What happened at 26?
Okay, what happened is, as I said, I'm a born-again Christian, so I got saved when I was 26-year-old, and I was in a meeting. And we were praying for people, and I was going for healing. So I was told I can't be. I need to forgive, because if I don't forgive, then I'm blocking myself from being healed. So that's what happened.
Beautiful.
I think what you did was amazing. And a lot of the healing comes when you talk about the story. You know, in Africa, we don't have psychologists, we don't have counselors. If a woman gets raped, she goes to the women in the community, she shares her story with other people. And we believe that the minute you tell your story to someone else, a problem shared is a problem halved. That person now carries the story with you. It lightens the burden, it lightens your heart. So I think you are giving permission to other people who have gone through child sexual abuse. And this is a more common story than it's uncommon, unfortunately. And when you keep it in, it manifests in other ways, in mental health issues. People end up getting physically ill. It has to come out. So I really commend you for what you're doing, because you are setting an example that there is no shame. You are a child. This was done to you. And powerful, powerful presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's go around the room and give her some feedback, ladies. Ruth?
Yes. Fiona, thank you for sharing your story. And you say you've only started speaking about it 2-3 years ago. And I'm sure the speaking out also brought a lot of weight off your shoulders, you know, because you'd been carrying it all along. What I wanted to ask is, did you ever, after 2 years, 26, after your 26th turning point, did you ever talk about it with your mom? Because she didn't believe it.
Okay, what happened was I spoke to an aunt when I was 10, and as I said, she said that I change myself and wash myself down below. So what happened is I never said anything, but when I think I was 13, my mum saw me crying, so that's when I spoke to her.
Okay.
Did your mum believe you? Because often I hear people who've been through a similar situation have not been believed by the adult.
It's that long ago. I think she did. Yeah, I think she did.
Yeah.
And how did it affect your confidence in yourself?
How did it affect my confidence? I think I had low esteem at that time. Yes, I didn't really have any confidence. I just used to want to be on my own. I kept myself to myself. I did have one best friend that I would share with, but I always tended to just have one friend at a time. So I really kept myself to myself.
So where do you think that confidence to be able to speak out comes from now?
I believe it's God. That's what I believe.
Okay. So what advice would you give to somebody who's perhaps going through that now and maybe needs to speak out? How would you encourage them to be able to do that?
Well, as I said, I speak on Facebook, so because I'm also born again, I also speak out scriptures, and my favourite one is don't not have a split of beer, but a flawed power in a sound mind. So I'll encourage them in these ways, and I'll tell them to speak out, not to be ashamed, not to keep it in.
Yeah.
And then I'll explain I'll just talk about different subjects. But I've not done. I've not went on Facebook for a while, so I'm going to start doing that again.
It's a powerful story.
Mhm.
Alina?
Thank you so much for sharing your story. And I think there's so many people sometimes who can't honestly share their stories freely. Sometimes, it's like they fear the people around them rather than like the community. If I tell on my dad, if I tell, what will my brother think? What will my mother think? But, well done for, accepting Christ as your savior. And that made you, like free yourself so that, you can be able to forgive. It's like, okay, I mean, I sometimes work on forgiveness. And these days I work with a book called The Greatest Forgiveness. It's by, Master Shah. And, he talks about what do you call it? Somebody who was, like lied to, that it was a monk. The girl got pregnant in the village and said it was the monk's child. And this person didn't say anything. The monk accepted that. He didn't argue. Then late in life, when this girl discovered that she was lying, she ended up going to him and telling, or your father, telling them the truth. But it was through, like, the monk forgave her and forgave the family. So it's just like the activity things which can happen through forgiveness. Sometimes even if we are silent, we don't talk, but like encouraging people to say, come on, talk it, and then you forgive. I think it's best. Well done. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you so much, Fiona.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Fiona. Wonderful to have you here. So, Manuela, we're going to try and get our UK ladies to speak because it's getting late there.
I would like to welcome Andrea. I believe we have Andrea as well as one of our guests. Welcome, Andrea.
Yes.
Hello.
Andrea is going to be
Can you hear
speaking
me?
next.
Can you hear me?
And
Yes, we
yes,
can.
we can.
All right.
And Katya, nice to see you. You're here to observe and be part of the panel. So that's awesome to have you here today.
Thank you for inviting me.
So Andrea is a beautiful friend of mine. I can't even remember where and how we met. Can you remember, Andrea?
We met
I
in
meet so
Dubai.
many people around the world.
Yes, of course. We met in Dubai at one of your book launches.
Ah,
Yes.
yes.
How many years ago was that?
That was, oh gosh, maybe 10, 15 years ago.
Yes.
And you're going to share with us a bit of your journey. You have 15 minutes. So we are going to disappear into the background. We're here with you listening. The stage is yours. Thank you so much for gracing us with your presence today.
Where are you, Andrea, at the moment?
Thank you so much, Manuel. Where are you at?
I am from Spain, but I am in New Zealand. I live in New Zealand.
And New Zealand. Okay. Well, I'm in England. I'm in Liverpool, England. I was born and raised in the United States to a Greek family, and my name is Andromachi Georgiadis. And my
beautiful
family
name.
Thank you. And but it's difficult for people to say. I'm trying to get centered into the camera. And we are from the island of Skopelos, where they made the movie Mamma Mia.
Oh, sensational.
It's it has been recognized and for the greenest island in Greece 2 years ago, and has been for many, many years. So I've had the good fortune to be able to, as living in Europe, being able to spend an awful lot of time there. So it's it's beautiful. You just sit there and you go, this is where I'm from, and you're like, okay. But being born and raised in the United States in Pensacola, a place called Pensacola, Florida, which is the deep South. I'm second generation by my mother. My mother was born and raised in Mississippi, in a place called Clarksdale, Mississippi, which is northwest, going towards, if anybody has been there, it's like Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, Louisiana, going over to Texas, or Georgia, Alabama, Georgia, and North South Carolina. Anyway, I won't keep going on about that. I'm quite excited and quite nervous about this. My journey as a young girl being raised in the United States with a Greek family, my first language is Greek, and I didn't speak English till I was about 4. And I come from an amazing, very culturally rich family and deep Greek, how do you say it in English, culture. So, and I was raised, unfortunately, with an alcoholic father who was very abusive. And so it was a very trying time as a young little girl. Nobody understands at 5 years old why she is treated that way. So that became my lifestyle for quite a while. And I learned many, many things, as we now have learned through years and years of therapy and through the years, about ADD, ADHD, and bipolar. So I probably had all those isms, which probably made me extremely mischievous and got me in a lot of trouble. But I was very, very talented. I learned how to cook, standing on the chair at 6 and 8, learned how to sew. And at 12, I was a child protege, and they took me to sing classical music and opera, of which I proceeded to do for quite a few years. But they didn't anticipate drugs coming into my life. So as a result of the abuse that I had been going under, I was very neurotic, obviously wanting to be a lot of attention, and got the attention that I wanted, but not in the right way. So that was a journey that took me on for about 14 years of my life. And eventually I ended up going back to Greece, where I got married, and then coming back to the United States, where I was in the restaurant business, very successful, but yet still not in recovery. I was dry during the 5.5 years, 6 years of that journey. But then as soon as that was over, after becoming a millionaire, I reverted back to my addiction, which I suffered, and I was active for the next following 5 years. I am now today very proudly celebrating 39 years of being clean, and I will be 32 years sober in a few months. So it's been an extremely exciting journey, up and down, but we've all, through all the challenges in our life, I've been extremely successful because I found my voice when I went into treatment. I rediscovered my voice because I had forgotten it. And that journey began 33 years ago. And I moved to Italy, and I haven't been back to the United States since. Unfortunately, through deaths of my father and my brother and my mother and many family members, and a lot of business endeavors which went downhill, it was the only way for me to survive. And so since then, I have managed to sing my way around the world and have an incredible journey. And like Gertrude, I've met so many people and have had the incredible opportunity to travel the world and to see and be a part of many wonderful experiences. I got involved in the interior design world. I got involved in fashion, because those were my passions. And since then, I've just been carrying on. Unfortunately, COVID came into our life, and since then I had a horrific accident where I broke my shoulder, and I was incapacitated along with the COVID. But I've heard the lady talking about, I'm sorry I missed the lady before, but the lady was speaking about forgiveness. And I think that that is probably one of the most important things that is so profound, that we all, no matter what our journeys are, no matter how easy it is, and no matter how difficult it is, but forgiveness, acceptance and forgiveness are probably, for me, the two most important things. Because once I was able to forgive, my father, for example, the first person, then I was able to then begin to forgive myself. And forgiving ourselves, I think, sometimes is the most difficult, because we always revert back to that little girl wondering what happened and what did I do to deserve all those things. No matter how wealthy you become, no matter how high you are in stature, no matter what you achieve, there's always that little girl in the background. So when you are able to have the cup full, half full, or half empty, and then as you grow, because as we grow spiritually, emotionally, and psychologically, every level, something else comes up. So it's been an incredible journey. And the only thing that I would like to say is I'm so humbled and grateful that I'm a part of this forum this evening. And meeting Gertrude was an incredible experience. And we've been in and out and in and out, in and out through the years together. And to reconnect has been marvelous. I was invited when she did the very first one in Las Vegas, but unfortunately it wasn't possible for me to go. So I'm very proud and pleased to be here this evening. And I just want to say that my God does not allow me not to love every human being, every person, everything on this earth. But what I have learned is that I don't have to like everybody, and I don't have to have everybody in my life. So on that note, I'm going to say thank you and good evening to all of you ladies.
Thank you so
P.S.
much.
Wait. P.S. I just met the man of my dreams, who's sitting right next to me, and I am now engaged to be married. Yes.
Congratulations. How
Yes,
beautiful.
I just celebrated my 68th birthday. I can't fit my ring in the picture. And I'm engaged, and we are celebrating 5 months on the 1st of December, and it's wonderful.
Oh, absolutely wonderful. Wonderful.
How exciting.
Thank you, ladies.
Oh, wow.
Andrea or Andromache?
Yes.
Andromache. What a powerful, beautiful story. Thank you so much. It's definitely a blessing to have you here with us today. It's absolutely wonderful. And yes, we talk about forgiveness again. And we talk about forgiveness to ourselves. And I completely agree with you. It's so powerful and it's so difficult at the same time, right?
Absolutely.
My question to you perhaps is, because you have such a beautiful energy. Of course, I mean, you are in love. You are engaged, you are in love. I'm saying that I need to, you have such a beautiful energy. You're very expressive, and you have just a beautiful vibe around you. What would be your advice? You mentioned that you've been 30 plus years clean, and it seems
39.
like a new 39. Beautiful. What would be your advice for all those women that perhaps are in that situation that you were in the past, dealing with drugs or dealing with someone that is alcoholic in their families? How do you reach that forgiveness? What would be your advice to them?
Well, that one is it's a very personal thing, I believe. It's also it's one that's very, very difficult. And I think, I don't know. All I can say is that in order to forgive, we have to heal. And we have to heal ourselves first before we can be able to forgive, especially such a horrific experience. And when someone is living with somebody who is a practicing alcoholic or drug addict, it's very, very difficult. And there's so many things. All I can tell you is to reach out. Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, codependency people, there's so many groups anymore right now that that are available, but recognizing it first is the most important thing. I'm sorry, but I am going to have to take this phone call because my girlfriend's performing and that they're all calling me to show me she's singing. She loves Tina Turner. Thank you so much, ladies. Good night.
Thank you.
Oh, wow. Okay, ladies, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our next speaker. Now, some of you know that I lived for a while in New Mexico. And while I was in New Mexico, I met this amazing woman. There are so many angels that walk this planet. Teresa is one of them. We saw Sebastian yesterday, just another angel. People who have a passion around children, around education, around helping others. So they say that a picture tells 1,000 words. Teresa, I found a video of you giving a presentation at a Rotary Club with slides. I'm going to play that a little bit, and then we will come online and ask you questions. Is that okay? Kim, can you hear me?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay. So I'm going to play this video because it really shows the work that you've done in a very graphic way. I was really happy when I found it, actually.
I don't know what you're talking about, but
you'll soon find out. Okay, here we go.
Yes, hi. I'm Kim Colville. I, as Rushton said, am a founder of this program, this very simple program, but effective program called From Books to Brilliance. We started in 2000 and I believe it was 6 or 7. Let me get to this. From Books to Brilliance is an all-volunteer 501c3 nonprofit corporation dedicated to providing books to children in impoverished communities in Latin America and New Mexico. Actually, Maggie and I started this process while we were volunteering for the University of Texas Medical Branch in Galveston. We were going down yearly to work in the pharmacy for a very rural area called Mulukuku. And Maggie was taking vital signs. We were doing all kinds of odd things while we were translating for these doctors. I took a break one day in this little village called Santa Rita and went to see the school, and that is the school in front of you. It is about 100 degrees. There are no books. It's a dirt floor. The kids were doing math on scraps of paper and bringing them up to the teacher, and she was telling them if 2 + 2 is correct or not. You can notice that there are no windows, and over to the left is a sign in Spanish that says Jesus Christ is coming soon. The blackboard doesn't erase. I stood up and I said to the teacher, hi, my name is Mrs. Colville and I'm from the United States. I teach Spanish. She stood up and she said in Spanish, these children have no future. So that was the beginning. I just about burst out in tears, but I waited till I got out of the building. And long story short, we wrote to the Dr. Seuss Foundation after this incident with a classroom in rural Nicaragua. And lo and behold, they sent us $3,000. So the next year, Maggie and I went back to Mulukuku and Santa Rita with the doctor's program. We stopped in Managua and bought 1,000 children's books with that $3,000. So that was the beginning of this program. We felt like it was a good idea to just go to the city of Managua and find bookstores, and lo and behold, they had plenty of bookstores with beautiful children's books, which is what we tried to get for these villages. We loaded them up on top of the yellow school bus that was taking us out to Mulukuku, and you can see in Nicaragua the little sign, Mulukuku. It's in a very rural area with no electricity, running water, etc. So we get out there, and the head of the women's cooperative that we work with was extremely surprised that we had 1,000 books with us, and even more surprised that they were in Spanish and that we bought them in Managua. So she was thrilled to pieces. She told me a story that is very long, but I'll make it very short, that they had been trying to get books for this village for 20 years. There is a library, in fact, or there was in Mulukuku, but it had been closed for 20 years. So she said that she and several volunteers had to take a trip to Matagalpa, which is about a 5-hour trip away. One of the people in the truck at the time was Samuel Vidaurre, who was a farmer's son in the area who got himself educated, somehow educated himself in the midst of the Sandinista Contra War. And he needed to go also to Matagalpa. So they were kind of afraid because, of course, the Sandinista Contra War was raging on, and there were many battles in that area. They got to Matagalpa okay. On the way back, the truck was stopped. The people that stopped them got them out of the truck and made them all line up, at which time they looked at everybody's hands to see if they were calloused or if they were fine. And if they were calloused, they lived because, of course, they were probably ranchers and weren't educated. If their hands were fine and no calluses, they were intelligent. They were, well, I shouldn't say intelligent. They were educated, and which is what happened with the Samuel Vidaurre. They shot him in the head. They didn't know who he was, just that he was educated and he could be a problem down the line for their cause. So, long story short, they get him back to Mulukuku, and he dies on the way in the truck. And the library closed the only door that it has. So it didn't open again until we showed up with the 1,000 books after 20 years of being closed. So that's the beginning story of the history of this project. These are the areas now that we are working with. We're still working with Mulukuku, El Fortín, El Pantanal, La Solidaridad in Nicaragua. And we have 3 other village libraries in El Estor, Guatemala, Rabinal, and Santo Tomas.
So this is Maggie. I'm going to talk a little bit about our focus in FBTV. With our experience, there's been a lot of heartbreaking stories within countries such as Nicaragua, Guatemala, reasons why these countries don't have access or weren't provided with the books they needed for literacy. So our focus, of course, is to provide access to books to these remote areas. Throughout the years, FBTV has explored ways of providing and transporting the books and materials, including shipping from the States. Ultimately, we've found that purchasing the books and materials in the target country best serves our libraries and best benefits the surrounding communities. So there's a couple reasons for that. First, with us purchasing all of the books and materials in the target country or community, we're actually able to work more closely with the communities on their specific needs by inviting the community leaders, the library managers with us to do the shopping, do the purchasing, and help us plan for the future. Another reason why we purchase while we're there is it's important for us to do our best to promote cultural identity. By purchasing in our target countries, target communities, we're actually able to purchase a lot of folkloric literature, culturally relevant texts, and relevant up-to-date textbooks that a lot of the libraries need for reference books. The third reason and most important reason that, or one of the most important reasons we purchase there is we're able to promote their local economy. And also the surrounding community by providing some business to the small local bookstores and local supply stores. Next slide, please, Kim. Great. So with our mission and the way we operate a lot is we really try to partner, collaborate with a lot of other organizations. Some of our connections in Nicaragua throughout the years have been, we're able to collaborate well. Some were a little bit of a surprises, which is fantastic. But some of them include Casa Halteva in Granada. There's also Casa de la Mujer, and that is a women's cooperative that we work very closely with, including the Cooperativa Maria Luisa Ortiz. Also, the Rotary Club of Granada, we've been in contact with them. South Granville Rotary Club of North Carolina has been a support in one of our communities that we work in as well. And then University of Texas Medical Branch, and also University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire, which is where I got my undergraduate degree. So I just want to cover our Nicaraguan projects. So currently we have 3 projects that FBTB has directly established, and one more that has actually been established via one of our supporting contacts there, and she's kind of taken it upon herself to really push forward with these types of library projects. So the first project I want to cover is El Fortín, Nicaragua, and that library was established in 2009. I actually learned of this community via a connection while attending the University of Eau Claire. There's a student organization. They were working in this community, doing sustainability and development projects, providing things like sewer systems, a bridge, a bakery, really helping this community develop. And that's actually where I was able to get connected, and FBTB was able to get connected with this community and their leaders and kind of establish what they needed as far as a library. This very lively library holds 500 books. Currently right around there. It's got great leadership through the local women's cooperative, and it's actually said to be the second home for a lot of the village children. So the other library that we have established in Nicaragua is El Pantanal. That library was started in 2010. It is a library that is made up of very strong and tenacious people that truly want to develop their library and move forward with it. It was identified again by reaching out to different organizations, different nonprofits. This was actually identified by us being in contact with Casa Halteva, as well as another nonprofit who was there providing educational materials. So originally this library was housed in a local elementary school. And actually, as of this past year, it's now housed in a newly constructed building donated by South Granville Rotary Club of North Carolina. Right now, it holds about 400 books, and it's really a central place for a lot of the schools and community of that area. So moving on to Mulucucu, this is our most rural library in Nicaragua. It is a 6-hour drive from really anything. So that's, like Kim mentioned, the library that the community we worked in, translating, working with the medical branch. And that was 2007, this library was officially established. This library actually holds about 2,500 books at this point. When we first showed up in 2007 with 1,000 books, imagine their surprise when we asked them to help with inventory. So, the last project, La Solidaridad, is actually the project that has been spearheaded by one of our main contacts. She is a leader within the Women's Cooperative. She heads projects to replace cardboard houses, shacks, with standardized housing. And her goal is to establish a library space in the quote-unquote style of From Books to Brilliance in every community that she works in. So she's really been a very strong partner of ours, and we're excited to move forward with her.
This brings us to Guatemala and more Rotary participation. While Maggie and I were dealing with these 3 little libraries in Nicaragua, I decided to pick up the Rotarian magazine and read a page about Fritz Batz, who is the headmaster of the Instituto Austríaco Guatemalteco. It's a beautiful Guatemalan Austrian institute in Guatemala City. They educate middle-class students. They start them out in German, and by the time they graduate from high school, they speak German, Spanish, and English fluently. This school needs a lot of Austrian teachers to come and teach the German portion of their curriculum. At the same time, the Austrian teachers that teach there in this beautiful, beautiful place in Guatemala City have volunteer projects out in Mayan communities. Now, the Austrian Guatemalan Institute started about 5 schools 20 years ago in Mayan communities. Those are the communities that we're working with our libraries today in the outskirts of Guatemala. They're all 3 and 4 hours away from Guatemala City. So the brilliant, beautiful thing about this connection with Rotary is when I emailed Fritz Batz and I said, hey, do you need village libraries? Of course, he said, yes, we need village libraries. So we were on our way to Guatemala, and when we're in Guatemala, we hear almost nothing but German. Unfortunately, I don't speak German, but so we are working with 3 villages in Guatemala, and again, the connection was through Rotary. These are our libraries in the villages, in the Mayan villages in the outskirts of Guatemala City. Rabinal, Santo Tomas La Union, and El Estor, these children all speak different Mayan languages. One speaks Quechua, one speaks Quiche, and one speaks, I've forgotten the name of it. One speaks another Mayan language. So these village libraries are interesting. They are now publishing some books in Guatemala City at the university. This is a university project trying to get books published in these native languages for students. So when we go to Guatemala City, we're able to go to the stores, buy as many books as we can in their native languages, and get them out to the villages. The Santo Tomas La Union at the top is absolutely delightful to go visit. They always have some kind of celebration for us when we come. Homemade tamales, music. It's just delightful to see this village school. Every classroom sings a song for you. It's quite interesting. Rabinal, down at the bottom right, they originally had a place in each one of their classrooms when we brought the original group of books to have a reading corner. Last year when we got there, we were surprised because they had dedicated a specific room as their own library. So now they have a dedicated library, which again was a total surprise for us. The El Estor one in the bottom left was just refinished, or just actually reconstructed last year and this year. John Winterstein et al. Was part of that project, actually removing a cement floor, enlarging windows, doing the whole entire room. This is the result of that project, which is really fun to see. And the students are using it. It's now open for service for the students come in and study. Reasons for success. You know, Maggie and I have pretty much come about this. Well, actually, I have to say a lot of it has been by chance. But after we look back to see what we think has worked in these villages, we're noticing that, of course, in each one, we are working with groups that have already come before us. We really stand on their shoulders. So we are constantly looking for villages that have other organizations that have touched the village, whether it's a medical team or whether it's Rotary, or it could be, the Austrian Guatemalan Institute, any of those things, as long as these villages have been touched by other organizations and those organizations are continuing to work with them, it's a perfect situation for us to come in and bring books. No one can do everything. So we help with the Mayan schools by bringing books in Guatemala. And of course, Nicaragua is a different story with, we're working with the cooperatives, the women's cooperatives primarily there. We work with the community leaders, try to find community leaders that are strong. And we have a little, very, very simple library system that we bring to the libraries. It's the old checkout system that all of us, I'm sure, used when we were kids. Very, very simple system. The simpler, the better for these villages. One of the challenges that we have is trying to get the village libraries to lend books, because these villages have never had a book, much less, hundreds. So when we bring these books, they look at us like, really, you want us to lend these books out? So that takes a lot of work and a lot of patience, because they're a little bit afraid of losing the books. We also return every year so that they can see our faces. I know sometimes groups have good intentions, but they maybe get, go down once or twice and then they're not to be seen again. So now these villages are starting to trust that we're coming back every year. We're also being able to contact a lot of them through this great communication system we have now with email and phones, etc. So we can get information from the village themselves, which is phenomenal. So really, in effect, what we're doing is trying to educate citizens and edify their communities. And it seems to be working for whatever reasons there are. Oops, I'm sorry.
So a couple ways that we've reached out to a lot of our communities, as well as our partners, folks that have been, expressed interest in the mission and the program. It's a very simple, in theory, mission, really, to get books down there and collaborate with the community. However, doing this type of organization, trips, organizing, does take a lot of work, a lot of hands, a lot of great minds. So what we do is, of course, we expect to grow. Our goal is to start a new library every year, as we are still supporting the libraries that are already established. So that goal, as it grows and grows, requires more and more great minds and support. A couple ways that a lot of people have really gotten on board and gotten interested in it, from Books to Brilliance, and helped out. One of the ways is just ask how you can help. I mean, there are a lot of ways that our partners and our community has helped with different skills, different strengths. The other way, of course, is donate, right? Being able to really go down, purchase books. It's wonderful that you can go into Managua, buy a beautiful children's book for pennies on the dollar from what you'd buy it here. So you can buy a beautiful children's book for $4, right? And kind of within that range, and really be able to provide a great start to a library. Introducing us to friends. I mean, you really never know who would really want to jump on board and get involved in something like this. Social media is always a great way to get the word out there. I wish I was a social media guru, and I'm just not yet, but I'm working on it. So if someone out there really has that under control, definitely get a hold of us and, give us some insight and help out. The other way is, of course, just spreading the word. It's a mission that, again, is simple. However, it's very effective and very needed in a lot of these communities.
Another great project,
Oh
Kim.
my goodness. I am so glad and horrified that you played that. It's an old video, but I just came in from raking leaves, so I wasn't expecting this.
No, love your work,
Oh,
Kim.
it's been such a blessing. Everybody, I have something to say to all of you. I mean, I wish I had come with a notepad so I could take notes, because everybody has some extraordinary thing that I want to comment on. But this has been a really huge blessing for us. I didn't expect this. We didn't plan this. You've been talking about God, and I was teaching Spanish years ago, and I thought, oh, the American, I live in the New Mexico, US, and a lot of the kids don't really care about education. They don't study. You know, we've had too much. We're too spoiled. I totally understand that. And so I thought, you know, dear God, give me something that I can do where people care about it, or that I can do that seems to make a difference. And I'll be darned if I didn't have carpal tunnel syndrome. You know, I couldn't, my wrist hurt so badly all the time, both wrists. And I thought, this was just about 2 weeks later, and I thought, I have to have this operated on. So I went to a hand surgeon, and Dr. Balcombe looked at my hand. She said, yep, carpal tunnel, we'll deal with it. So I went in to have it done. It was 7:00 in the morning. I was in the operating room, and I saw that it started at 7. They put me under that kind of medication where you can talk to the doctor, but you don't remember what you've said when you wake up. Does that make sense to any of you?
Yes.
So apparently I noticed it again, the clock, it was 7:30 and they were all done. And I was waking up and I heard myself say, do they ever need an interpreter? What did I say that for? I mean, I don't even know why I said that. And Dr. Balcombe, the short little woman, very talented hand surgeon, says, yes, they need interpreters. I will come and write on your bandage the name of the doctor at the University of Texas Medical Branch. And you call her today and she will tell you about the trip to Mulukuku. And I thought, where's Mulukuku? And what in the world did I get myself into? So I was in the recovery room, and my husband came in and he's standing behind me, and in comes this little short woman, doctor, and she writes, okay, you talk to Dr. Smith at University of Texas Medical Branch, call her today or email her today. And I said, okay. And I found out that it was a trip to Nicaragua with a group of doctors, and I was on that trip in the next week. I went into that little school, introduced myself while I was taking a break from the doctors, and that's how this started. So this was totally unplanned. I think totally God answered my prayer, and he gave me something to do.
They were waiting for you, Kim.
We just beginning a project in Naivasha, Kenya. So we're in a new continent, you Africans.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Very
so
exciting.
It's very fun. And there's a project that's pretty full circle for us now in Seacacar, Guatemala, in the rainforest, a Mayan community that told a friend of mine when he visited there, if we cannot educate our children, we cannot save our home. They're trying to save the rainforest and they don't have any education. So that's where we fit in. And it's been about 5 years now. And we now have a true village library. The furniture that was handmade by a carpenter in the local area that we paid $1,400 for. Again, we're trying to create economies, right? It's not just about literacy. So it's creating economies and literacy. But, you know, it's wonderful to be able to see that this man in El Estor built this beautiful furniture for our space. And it's being loaded up and brought up today so that we can fill those shelves with books. And one of the young women in the community who's 20 now, who went to school in Seacacar in the little village till she was in 6th grade, then was sent by her parents to a middle school and high school outside of Seacacar because it wasn't offered in the watershed area that she lived in. So she is now back as a high school graduate, and she will be our first village librarian. And she wears all of her Mayan beautiful things. She speaks the language of the kids. She's from the village. She was born there. Now she's giving back to the village, and the kids will feel in good hands because they can speak to her in Quechua or in Spanish, and she'll be able to help them. So we're thrilled to pieces. And, we'll have 2 part-time librarians, and we're actually paying a stipend, like $250 a month. So this takes her from $0 a month to $250, which is huge for the family and for the community.
What a role model for them. What a wonderful role model.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
Somebody from their own village, their neighbor, gets to be the librarian.
Yeah.
We're thrilled to pieces.
Gosh.
But this is all, we put a little bit of effort. I was telling somebody, and all of a sudden, all these blessings keep coming. And it's really, it's just the little bit of effort that we're just the hands.
Well, it's your passion that you've managed to communicate to others. It's your conviction. It's you seeing the vision of what you're doing that brings people on board, and you end up being like a magnet. I can so relate to that.
Oh, Gertrude, you're a magnet. You're just fabulous. I don't know how I got in this today, but it's fun. And by the way, Miss Spain, I speak Spanish because of your wonderful country and all my friends in Madrid that taught me so wonderfully while I was there as a college student going to La Universidad Complutense and being there when Franco died, actually. That dates me quite a bit.
Wow, that's fantastic.
So I love Spain. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Kim. I would love to connect with you and learn more about your wonderful project. Also, listening to you, to the beautiful presentation, I was thinking, I had in my mind this beautiful school that is being built at the moment that might need a library soon.
Mm-hmm.
Teresa, do you know?
Yeah.
Where?
Actually, we've got, what's his name? Juan is in Rotary, and he's told us about the Rotary Books program. So, yeah. But
that's why I want you two to connect. I will connect you on Facebook.
Thank
you.
See,
this is the magic of Herstory.
Yeah.
Teresa has just been involved in the building of a school in Uganda. I knew you're there busy with your books. I sometimes feel like an alchemist. I see these 2 pieces, I'm like, bing, put you 2 together.
And Gertrude says she's joining our Rotary Club, and our board just voted yes, please, please, please. So I was just going to send you an email. And by the way, we do some work with a place in Uganda as well.
Yeah, I think one mentioned it. Yes, I think so. Yeah.
And that's the power of Rotary. Yeah. It bridges gaps. If you're sending something from one Rotary Club to another, it goes in as a donation. You don't pay customs duty. It's like you have a family in every city, every village, every town. And so, Teresa, you might want to encourage the young man to get involved with Rotary. There would be a Rotary Club.
I think Juan has already spoken to him about it, because Juan is already is involved in the project.
Fantastic.
I think he's got links to the UN as well. So but love to connect with Kim.
Yes, I'm just thrilled to pieces. This was meant to be. Thank you, God. Yet again.
Any other questions, ladies, before we move on to our next video? Selena, Ruth.
Thank you, Kim.
Oh, thank you. And Selena, we voted yes, please, please, please for you too. She's also joining our club. Yay!
Thank
I feel at home here.
Thank you. I'm excited.
Yes.
So Ruth is another one who's going to be joining us, Kim.
Yes.
I haven't told Manuela yet. So ladies, what I'm trying to do is to get the Herstory movement to be part of Kim's Rotary Club. Okay. It's an e-club, so we meet online.
Beautiful.
And we can do so much work in different communities if we are part of this club, to help with our fundraising, getting things moved from country to country. lots of support within Rotary. So
And
really
there are,
excited.
I'm sorry, Gertrude, there are in our club, because we are on all different continents, we can't do projects together as a Rotary Club, which is a traditional Rotary Club, right? But
Yes.
when you're an e-club and you have people from 12 or 13 different countries, we do projects in all of, as many of those places as we can. And, people start a project, for example, in Uganda, if they're from Uganda. So we are able to help with that. It's really exciting. Last year I think we did 15 projects on 3 continents. So we were pretty happy about that.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
just so
They're
exciting.
small, but for example, a lot of, if you're spending, for example, if a Rotary Club donates in our club a mini grant of $500, doesn't seem like much to a US citizen, but take
No.
that to Uganda.
Yeah. It's
That
big.
does a lot.
That's
It's a lot of money.
So anyway, thank you so much, ladies. I didn't expect that. What a surprise. How funny.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
And by the way, the other speaker is my niece, Maggie, who is still an advisor for Books to Brilliance, but she's got a little 1.5-year-old now and doesn't have a whole lot of time. So I'm hoping she joins us again. But
she will. You've already planted that seed in her to give. So
yeah,
she's lucky to have you as an aunt.
Oh, it was all by mistake, guys.
By design.
Nothing is ever.
There are no mistakes in the universe.
That's
No.
true. Thank you all. I appreciate it.
Wonderful. Anyone else want to contribute before we move on?
I was. I
Okay.
just had at the back of my. I had at the back of my mind, Gertrude. I was thinking about my daughter yesterday. Just yesterday, she was saying, "Mom, I'm gonna go. I need to buy this book. Would you buy it for me?" And of course, it is a book. She wants to read it. It's a fictional book. I was like, I didn't know that you were into fiction, Mom. I want to read this book. And the interesting thing, listening to our theme, a common theme about education, is we have so much available online, but it's still the power of a book. A book is so powerful, and it's something you can share, something you can pass it on, and of course something you can lend in the library. And yes, I feel like we're going back to that basic, right?
Yeah.
Which is it's just beautiful.
And they also say that when children hold books and read in a handheld book, there's incidental learning.
Yes.
So they will be scanning through and they will hit on something that they weren't really looking for. It's not the same as when you go online and you zap into a particular chunk of text. So that's the other beautiful thing about, I don't think you can ever get rid of physical books.
No.
And they're saying that the children that are coming to school now in the United States, their brains are actually smaller, which is not a good thing. I mean, touching is part of learning, and all of that sensory, holding a book, smelling it. I mean, all of that it helps your brain get bigger from what they've explained to me. So when they're with those devices all the time, it's not enlarging their brain.
Yes, it's pretty sad. Technology works for us, but it can work against us as well.
Yeah.
So as parents, we need to be aware of that.
And in a village library, how do you hold a crayon and color in a coloring book?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Are we ready to move on, ladies?
Yes.
Okay. So the next video, I have to apologize in advance. The sound is not fantastic because I recorded it in an industrial area. So I was speaking at a university in Boston. So I'm going to move you guys out of the stage for a minute. So I was speaking at a university in Boston, and a little girl came up to me. I had shown pictures of our library in Zimbabwe. Alexandra was 21 years old, single mom, 3 kids, had her first child at the age of 16. She was so moved and so touched with my story. She came up to me in tears and she said to me, Gertrude, I feel I need to help you, but I don't have money. And I said, Alex, you waited until 300 people had left. So I was selling my books, signing books, and she just kept hovering and she didn't go away. And I took her to dinner and I said, sometimes it's not about money. Sometimes it's ideas that people give me. Money isn't everything. So if you pray about it. If you meditate, just focus on how you can help me. 3 months later, the professor who invited me to speak at this university called me and said, Gertrude, you won't believe what Alex has done. So she came up with an idea to put bins in the lecture theaters on campus, in every single lecture theater. She talked to the professors and asked them to tell their students who had children to bring any books they didn't want. In 90 days, she collected 5,000 books that started our library in Zimbabwe. So fast track, almost 2 years later, I'm still trying to develop the idea of how I can, refurbish our library. And I remembered what she did. And I decided to give speeches in primary schools in Wellington. And when I got to the school, the principal would have told the children to bring any books they don't want. I did a 90-day campaign where I was speaking every single week in schools just around Wellington, and I collected 65,000 books. When my Rotary Club heard about this, they came on board and they bought me a 40-foot container that is seaworthy to ship the books to Zimbabwe. Now, you might be asking, why did I buy a container instead of just using a shipping company to get the books to Zim? The idea around the container is to build a library. The people in our village, in Mazivisa village in Shurugwi, in Zimbabwe, don't have access to healthcare. The nearest hospital is probably 40 kilometers away. We have women who are pregnant who will walk in labor to get to the nearest hospital. So my ex-husband was a doctor, and we would go home and run clinics from our home. And so my idea is to refurbish the container and turn it into a clinic once we empty out the books when we finish building the library. The other thing about this clinic is that the free AIDS drugs that World Health is distributing in Zimbabwe is again 40 kilometers away, the hospital, and people don't have the $2 they need at the end of each month to get on a bus to go and get free medication 40 kilometers away. So people in Zimbabwe are dying of AIDS in 2021 because of poverty and politics. So part of it is because our community has been punished by the regime and they don't have access to the free medication. The excuse the government gives is that they don't have transportation. So when we refurbish this container into a clinic, we are going to hire a private nurse who mans the clinic. We're going to build 4 or 5 little huts around the container so the mothers who are pregnant can come 2 weeks or a week before they're due and get some prenatal care. And after they had the baby, they can stay on for a few more days, be looked after before they walk home. We're going to buy this nurse a car, and once a month, she will go and pick up the World Health workers who are distributing the drugs and bring them to the community. And that will cut out the transport cost as well. So this is the little project. I'll share my my little video. Apologies again that the sound is not fantastic, but you'll get an essence of what we're trying to create.
And I am CEO of Africa Thrive Education Foundation. I'm very excited today because behind me is a container full of books that are now being shipped to Zimbabwe. Most of you know my story. I've been trying to bring help to children in Zimbabwe who are affected by HIV and AIDS. And this is one of the missions that I've had a dream in my heart, is to build a clinic Zimbabwe full of books. So come along and have a look. So, can you imagine this 40-foot container being refurbished into the first health clinic in our village? I'm really excited because after the earthquake in Christchurch, I realized how valuable the containers can be in terms of creating infrastructure for people in times of disaster. And it would take me years to raise the money to build a clinic. So this container is going to be shipped to Zimbabwe full of children's books. And I have to really thank everybody who helped me make this dream a possibility. The Rotary Club of Lower Hutt sponsored and paid for the container, and other clubs all over the country have been sending books to me. And if you do have any children's books, we still have some space, so get in touch with me through Facebook. So come and have a look inside and see what you've done already. So this is what we've managed to do so far. By giving presentations and talks in schools all over New Zealand, within 3 months, I managed to collect 65,000 books. So come in and have a look. All of these are books that have been donated by various people around New Zealand. And I am really excited at the quality of the books that we got. And these are books that were going to be thrown away, and we have no reading material. Encyclopedias, we've got volumes and volumes of encyclopedias. What's really exciting me is that the children in our village are now teaching adult literacy programs after school. I used to think that I had to take these kids through university, get them through college, so they could go back to our community and help, but already children under the age of 12 are responsible for teaching adults how to read. So thank you again to everybody who's contributed to this program, who's contributed to this dream. I can actually see this beautiful container being refurbished into the first clinic in our village. And I could not have done this without you. So thank you.
A broken website isn't always that obvious.
So that is our little project. Now, unfortunately, what happened is everything came to a standstill when I was recovering from congestive heart failure. And then COVID happened. So this container is still sitting in Wellington, needing money to ship these books to Zimbabwe. So if anybody out there would like to come on board and support us and help, we need help to get this container home. And I can see us being able to replicate this model throughout Africa. Wow. Building libraries and clinics. So the container is really a Trojan horse because the Zimbabwean government has allowed us to work in education, but not healthcare. To get a government permit to build is a challenge. You have to bribe government officials. It's a challenging environment. So the container goes in under the disguise that we are building a library, which we are. Mm-hmm. And then we turn the container into the first health clinic in this community. Wow. So I'll quickly, hold on, Kim. I'll quickly show you what we did with the before and after when we took Alexandra's books to Zimbabwe, the first 5,000 books. Ruth and I came up with an idea that we would not get a contractor to come in and build this library. So we started a microloan program where we give people $50 to make the bricks that we need to rebuild the school. We buy back the bricks at 25 cents a piece. With $50, you can buy 5 bags of cement. You can make 1,000 bricks. So each person was making $250 through this project, which is a lot of money in Zimbabwe. Wow. We are insisting that they pay back the loan. So it's a hand up, not a handout. It keeps the money circulating so we can lend that money to somebody else. We now have an idea to start financial literacy classes as well, because I am inundated with requests from family members to help. They'll say, Gertrude, I want to start a small business. I seed the business. They use the profit. Next month they come back, they want more money. So we want to make sure that the $250, they pay back the $50 microloan, they put $50 into a savings account, they reinvest in their business, use $50, get some more cement and keep supplying us with bricks, then use $100 for the family. So those are some of the things that Ruth and I have a passion to educate our community on money management skills so that it can scale and grow. So I'll show you quickly what was a 10-day miracle. By the time we got to Zimbabwe, the community had already refurbished the school. People volunteered. I mean, I'm talking about people who have no income, who have no money. They came and gave of their time, their effort. It was just one of the most rewarding things that I have ever done, is to watch this community come together. So this was our little library. What year was this, Ruth? I can't remember now.
I think 2009, because we did the work in 2010, 10
Yes.
and 11. Wow.
So the Zimbabwean government has not touched the rural schools in the last 30 years. Buildings are collapsing around the children. This is the men in our community who all came on board to help replaster the school. It was just one of the most rewarding things we have ever done. It was done in a weekend.
Wow.
Everybody came on board.
That's great.
Men, women, children. That's me and my daughter Z. We said, hey, we want to learn how to mix cement. And we in there and did our thing. So you see, people in communities just need facilitation. The people in these communities have got the answers to all of their problems. We go in as facilitators for change. That is our local chief plastering as well. Absolutely amazing man, Chief Mazivisa. And Mazivisa, Ruth, can you translate it, the meaning of this village?
It means you've let people know.
Wow. And it's a place of knowledge.
Yeah.
Oh. So there is a little American girl who lives in Boston who has a library named after her in Zimbabwe.
Oh, wow.
That is the day we finished. And it was such a celebration. I learned how to plaster walls. That's me and my sister-in-law having a hand. So we are encouraging women to step up and do the men's work as well.
Yeah.
Then they can build their own homes. These are skills that are being transferred as we are rebuilding. So this was just one of the most rewarding small little projects that we initiated. So let's open up the floor, Manuela. You can moderate this.
And there are questions in comments or comments in the comment section.
Okay, Manuela, I think, has dropped off. I think her computer keeps freezing. So Jules is a good friend of mine who I've just recently met here in Australia. Her husband is in the container business. You connected me with him. I have been in conversations with him. I haven't heard back from him, Jules. So you might want to give him a bit of a shake. He said he would call me back once he talked to somebody who could probably get the container to Zimbabwe for free, but I haven't heard back from him. Any questions, ladies? Comments? Yes, Kim.
I'm just wondering how much money you need to get that container to Zimbabwe.
Before COVID, I had got a quote for 15,000. Now with COVID, the shipping tariffs have gone up tremendously.
Yeah.
I don't know how much it's going to cost.
Okay.
I'm just trying to find a way of getting them there without paying. And this
Yeah.
lady's husband has a nonprofit and they might be able to help us. I'm not sure
Oh.
yet.
Okay.
Yeah, COVID has really put a spanner in the works in terms of moving goods back and forth
Yes.
around the world.
Oh,
What
there's
might
beautiful
be?
Manuela.
Oh, Manuela's back. Oh, yeah, you dropped off. Sorry, sweetie. I just took over. I saw you dropped off there.
No problem.
Selena, you had a comment, and then Manuela can moderate.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to say, oh, well done for the job you are doing. I mean, the container, if you look at it, it's just full of books, honestly. That's the heart of a woman. That's why I love it, that when women put things or thoughts into their minds, they really can move mountains. Because I think you've got that heart of a mother. You want every child to have this. It's just like your own child needs to go to school. And it's difficult for people to understand where it comes. Some people, they don't have it. They just feel, okay, so can you feed the whole of Zimbabwe or the whole of Africa? But as you say, one step at a time, one school at a time, one child at a time, one library at a time. So I think it's amazing. I was talking to my brother who lives in Zim today about my school, and it's like, oh, lots of girls are not going to school because of sanitary things. And I said, oh, I'm in this like exciting environment. I think I think you're just going to like to have more of that sort of thing, the whole of like that part of Zimbabwe. So I'm excited about it. Well done, Gertrude. Honestly, thank you, Gertrude and Ruth.
What I believe is we don't have to do all the work. We have to be a source of inspiration.
Yeah.
There are 3 million Zimbabweans in the diaspora scattered around the world somewhere. Imagine if we could get to those 3 million and
Yeah.
we inspire them to come on board and do what we've done in their own community. So you don't have to save everyone. You can't go in the world and say, I'm going to save the world. You do it in your community and you create an example. We've literally created a blueprint that can be replicated throughout Africa. So I'm really excited. And I've had a lot of people who've been watching me through Facebook who have approached me for help. So we're already giving these ideas to other people of African descent who want to go back to their villages, go back to their communities and help. So that's the exciting part about this project.
That
Any
sounds
other
really
questions?
fantastic. Hatred. So exciting.
Is
I'm
it
thinking
really
maybe
is.
we should organize something. I'm sure that everyone is I would be really excited to help you, Hatred, to fundraise 15, 20, $25,000. It sounds like a big amount, but it's something that perhaps we could all promote, showing maybe part of your video and through social media, maybe create an one day online event where we could all participate and bring some value in different ways. And yes, I'm pretty sure maybe 500 ladies for $15,000 is just yes, it's we
In
could
fact, what
definitely
we
do
did,
it.
Manuela, it's very doable. When we
Could you
started the
do
microloan program, I created a tourism company to bring people to Zimbabwe.
Yes.
I was charging $15,000 for someone to come with us. It paid for their airfare, food, accommodation, everything. We were using about $5,000 on their expenses and we made a profit of $10,000. Now, these women were not rich. They were just friends of mine who saw the need and said yes. And I said to them, can I show you how to make the 15,000? Now, my brain computes in chunking things down.
Yes.
I said to them, let's create what's called the Africa Inspired Gala Dinner. And each of them had to sell 100 tickets at $150 each. That's 15,000. I flew to 3 different cities in New Zealand. I went to Auckland, Timaru, Tauranga. That's where the three ladies were based. And I showed up as the gourmet chef for the night. So my mother used to have a restaurant. I know how to cook food. And
amazing.
We raised $55,000 that year. And what we did is at each dinner, they went to people in business in their towns. They asked for people to donate things that we could auction. So we had a silent auction during the dinner. So one lady got she had a spa. She gave us a voucher. We had somebody who gave us perfume. We got a whole bunch of women's products. We hampered it together. It was worth like $5,000-$6,000 all up. And we auctioned that off. So somebody would pay $1,000 for something that was worth $6,000. We went to all of the companies where I buy furniture for my property business. I was given refrigerators, stoves, a lounge suite, and we hampered that into a home package that was worth $15,000. It went for $5,000, but it was worth a lot of money. So you and I need to talk because this is doable. And I'm actually thinking we could even host a virtual Africa-inspired gala dinner. I will email people the recipes. We will come online and break bread virtually and have a virtual party with a whole bunch of people. You know, we can get really creative with this.
That would be fantastic. Yes.
Let's do that.
There's so many ways we can raise the money, but it's when a committed group of people get together. I even remember writing to Peter Jackson. He donated some things from Lord of the Rings that we auctioned off, little memorabilia, little artifacts. I wrote to Sir Edmund Hillary before he died. So he lives in Auckland, and I literally opened the phone book, found his number in the phone book, and wrote him a letter. I said, I'm fundraising for a school. Can you please sign something that I can auction off? And he drew a picture of him climbing Mount Everest, and he signed it. We framed it beautifully. It auctioned off for $7,000 before he died.
Wow.
So the money is there. If we chunk it down, if you get a committed group of people who see the vision, who want to help, that's my biggest gift. I know how to raise money. I just need the people who want to come on board to help us raise money. Does that make sense? Any other comments, ladies? Please jump in here.
Do you know that he was a Rotarian?
Say that again?
Auckland. What was his name? Hillary.
Hillary. Yes.
He was a Rotarian.
He was a Rotarian. And in fact, the man who gave me the idea to refurbish the container is a Rotarian who was based in Australia. His name was John Fawcett. John Fawcett was a teacher, had a passion for education, who moved to Indonesia. And he found when he was in Indonesia that a lot of people have cataracts. Indonesians have a predisposition for cataracts because of the diet. It's a genetic thing. And the women, as they're reaping the rice, get pricked in the eye by pieces of rice. So a lot of women don't have eyes, or they've lost an eye. And in Indonesia, your eyes are very important. You don't get married if people can't see your eyes. So he created a foundation called the John Fawcett Foundation, and he set up these clinics in containers, and he would get international doctors to come and do the cataract eye surgery. I went and shadowed him for 6 months and watched what he did. He created thousands of clinics throughout Southeast Asia with containers. And to me, it felt like a modern day miracle. You know, when you see somebody who's blind today, they go into this container, they come back the next day, and they have their vision back.
Yeah.
So he was my mentor.
What a gift.
Another Rotarian who gave me this idea. It wasn't something I came up with on my own. And that's what I was saying, that sometimes we just need ideas on how to do things. It's not about money all the time. It's the ideas that are worth so much more. Anything else, ladies? Let's keep the conversation going. Okay, Katya, then go ahead.
I just wanted to say, it's so encouraging to see what you are doing and to see what everybody else here is involved in, because sometimes we live in our spaces where we take so much for granted. And we think the world is like this big, not understanding there's so much more that's happening, and there's so many people who are in need of the very basic things that we take for granted. So it's really heartwarming to see the type of work that you all are doing, coming from a space where, yes, even in my own country, I know that there are people who live under the poverty line and those sorts of things, but they're not making the news. Nobody is, it seems, to be concerned about what's happening to those people and how they are getting left behind. And it's important, like you say, to start doing the work in our own communities, to reach out to the people, to those people, and not get so caught up in what we think is life for everyone. We think everybody's worrying about the next iPhone, or everybody's worrying about what to wear to the, like you said, to the gala, when the reality is so many people are just unable to just have even basic needs met. And
introduce yourself, please, so people know where you are as well.
Well, my name is Kathy Ann Roach, and I live in Trinidad. Well, I live in a country, two islands. We're a twin island republic called Trinidad and Tobago, and I am on the Trinidad side. This is the side with all of the carnival and all of the activity and all of the, I don't want to say fun, but a lot of the activity. and because the people from Tobago will kill me, they have fun too. But Tobago is our sister isle. It's smaller, and that's the one with the lovelier beaches and the more homely, more family type atmosphere. So I met Gertrude a while ago. I don't even I Yes, how we connected, but I've always just admired the work that she's done and the work that she continues to do. It's always amazing. So to be invited to be a part of this circle, to be invited to be a part of the community, and to meet all of you, I am extremely grateful, and I look forward to everything that you all are doing and everything that we can possibly do together.
Thank
Thank you for having me.
Now, we are already working in the Caribbean. I was hired by the Grenadian government to train 300 women to do my batik. So I'm a textile artist. I paint fabric. And this technique, instead of using wax for batik, we use cornmeal in Zimbabwe. We found that we could use our leftover food for fabric painting. It's quick, it's cheap, it's fast. And a lot of the cruise ships that go to Grenada, they get about 500 cruise ships a year. All the product that's being sold on the beach in all of the tourist shops are not locally made. They're being made in China. There's just cheap Chinese knockoffs. So the Minister of Culture heard about my work. She hired me. I've been to Grenada, I think 4 or 5 times. When I lived in New Mexico, Kim, I used to go to Grenada almost every week. And I trained 300 women to do this batik. And what we were planning to do is to get them to make cushions that can be sold in these little shops. There were women who were on the plantations who had cocoa. In Grenada, there is cocoa everywhere. And I'm pretty sure it's the same in Tobago. And well, the Caribbean is known for its cocoa.
Right.
So the woman who got me to Grenada was a young lady who is living on a little cocoa plantation. And in Grenada, you can't sell raw cocoa. You have to sell it to the government. You can't sell it privately. So they don't get paid a lot. There are thousands of farms just lying bare because people can't make money from this cocoa. My friends decided to turn it into chocolate. So she learned how to make chocolate. She had a plantation certified organic. She's now exporting her chocolates to factories in Switzerland and the UK. So you can sell the cocoa if you add value to it and turn it into something else, then you're free to do whatever you want. So we are going to be working with that woman so she can train the other women in Grenada to do the same thing with their cocoa. Then they can export it. So the idea that I had was, imagine if all of these cruise ships had small little pieces of chocolate on the pillow for their guests that is made locally by the women from Grenada.
Fabulous.
and a beautiful handmade cushion. You know, things like that that can really generate an income for the women in the islands. So I just want to come back. I love the Caribbean. It's just the most beautiful place in the world. I haven't been to Tobago, so you and I need to talk.
Yes.
Trinidad and Tobago. But yeah, so this is the work we're doing. We're just trying to change the world one woman at a time, one story at a time. And if somebody learns something new, she can teach somebody else. There's abundance in this universe, and there's people who want to help, but they don't know how to help.
Yeah.
And part of what we're doing with Herstory is just shining a light on all of these projects. Teresa, today we've shined a light on yours. Kim, we've shined a light on yours. It's when we amplify the stories. These videos are going on YouTube. They're going to be shared through Facebook, all of these social media platforms. More people get to hear about what you're doing, and then more help can come. There are people in the world who are looking for social impact projects. So each of our speakers, when you come and speak on our platform, you have to bring a social impact project that you support. It has to be in your community. If you can't find something in your community, you can plug into the existing projects that we already have within the Herstory circle. That's how we're supporting each other going forwards. So I see Manuela keeps dropping off.
I feel like the
Struggling
internet
to get back
connection is.
on. All right, so let's go on to our next video. How are we doing for time, Ruth? I know we're working New Zealand time. And
We're just going into the second hour.
okay.
15 minutes into the second hour. So we've got 1 hour, 45 minutes to go.
Okay. So
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to go get Ruth. But
that's okay. I know it's late in the UK. It was wonderful having you with us.
Thank you, and it's
You
been
wanted to
wonderful
say
meeting
something
you.
before you go.
Where are you in the UK?
In the south, near Brighton.
Oh, okay.
On the south coast. Yeah.
I'm in Birmingham.
Ah, right. Yes, you said. Yes.
Fiona, I saw you put up your hand. You wanted to say something? Unmute yourself.
Muted.
I'm very inspired by what everyone's doing. So I want to say I write poetry. So if it going to help with maybe if I write poetry, then maybe you can sell it or whatever. Also design things. So I do different projects. So I was just letting you know.
So what we will do with your poetry, Fiona, you and I should connect after the summit. We will package your poetry into a book that you can sell. Then you can find a way to contribute through your poetry. If you've got a book, that's something that you can sell and support us in that way. We'd love to help you publish your book.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Ruth, can you make a point to schedule an appointment with me after the summit?
Yes.
Maybe on the 1st or the 2nd. So just start collecting all of your poetry. We'll get an artist maybe to draw some pictures and make it really beautiful. We'll help you with that. Thank you. That is awesome.
Are you also off to bed? Is Fiona also going?
Ruth and Teresa, good night.
Bye.
We'll see you guys tomorrow. If you want to come back, let us know. We'll send you the link.
Will do. Thank you.
Take care. Bye. So when we started the Herstory movement, we were focused on women. And then men started asking, Manuela says I'm here. So she's struggling to come back on. What has I done? Oh, no, she's here. Okay. All right. She's just switched off her video.
Okay.
And we started having the husbands, the sons of the women who were speaking, saying, what have you done to my mom? My mother didn't speak. Now she's just so articulate. What have you done to my wife? So when I launched Herstory, my vision was to empower women over 50 who've never spoken before, who've never used their voices. That's how this all started. And now we've attracted the younger women, now we've also allowing men to speak on our platform. So 25% of our speakers are male. And this is a man who I interviewed around Thanksgiving, and the theme was the power of giving. So he's going to share his story. His name is Ryan. Ryan started a foundation based on his personal life experience. So I will let him tell the story. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Herstory TV and the Herstory podcast. This is Gertrude Macha here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia, and I am graced with the presence of yet another fascinating guest. Welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, how old you are, and share your story with us today.
Thank you. My name is Ryan Blair. I'm out of Los Angeles, California. I'm 44 years old. And that's about me. You wanted me to share my story?
Yes, please. Tell us your story.
Thank you. I was raised in LA. I started my life in middle class, and then as a result of drug addiction, on behalf of my mother and father, I wound up in poverty and wound up in and out of juvenile detention centers and street gangs and lived in abject poverty in Los Angeles. From there, at about 17 years old, my mother found me a mentor, and that's when my life changed. She taught me entrepreneurship, and I modeled him and learned underneath him as his apprentice, and I soon entered the field of entrepreneurship. And since that period of time, 20 some odd years ago, I've now created and sold multiple companies in a variety of different industries that have done billions of sales and hundreds of millions of dollars in assets.
Wow. Now, our interview is all focused on the power of giving. What changed your life when someone gave to you? And who was that person? What is that story?
Well, the first person that gave to me in a meaningful way was my cousin. I was growing very fast as a young boy, and my mom couldn't afford to put clothes on my back or food on the table. And my cousin, she saw how bad it was. I was growing out of my shoes. Literally, I had holes in them because of the fact that I was growing so fast. And she took me and bought me shoes. And I'll never forget it because I was really embarrassed to go to school with terrible shoes and beat up shoes that had holes in them. And I wanted to play sports, and she saw that and did an act of kindness for me, and that changed my life.
Wow. And this is something that we would take for granted. Something as simple as a pair of shoes can completely impact a young boy's life. Now, as you have gone throughout your life, what has changed your life when you gave to someone else? What would that story be?
Well, I just have had it in my spiritual being to give back. In fact, I made a spiritual deal with God when my stepfather, who was my first mentor, came into my life and rescued me and my mother from the poverty and the way that we lived. I made a deal that I would pay it forward. And I haven't always been perfect with that deal by any means, but it's been in my DNA ever since. So I've given to a lot of different causes and a lot of different people. But what I love doing now is more, I give institutionally. I have a foundation that gets to a number of charities, but what I love to do now is just do random acts of kindness. It's my favorite way to give. I might be walking out of a store and decide to buy someone a meal, or someone will write into me on Instagram, and if I believe what they're writing and I sense that that my money will go to good use, I'll contribute to their cause.
Okay, so we covered our handbook,
I'll sponsor various GoFundMe's, and I do a lot of this stuff. Well, I do it all anonymously because there's just something about a random act of kindness that really does shift the energy that you're experiencing in that day. And so I'm constantly looking for those opportunities.
So would you believe that, like I'm from Zimbabwe in Africa, we believe that this universe is like a giant bank and you have to keep depositing good deeds?
Yeah. Yeah. The good deeds, I mentor a lot of entrepreneurs, and when they're stuck or they're feeling burnt out or they're not happy or they're dealing with, the entrepreneurial roller coaster, I just always instruct them. The one single thing that I can get them to do that will change the energy that they're going through is an act of kindness or a good deed. And you're absolutely right. The more good deeds you do, the more energy that's coming back to you, of similar nature.
And it comes back not from the people you help, but from very unexpected sources, right?
Well, you can't do it with the intention to receive.
Yes.
So if you give a gift with the intention to receive, then you're really not giving a gift. You're making a deal. You're actually giving debt. And so if you're doing it because you're seeking social media acclaim or you want to impress others, and believe me, I've given plenty of gifts and I had the wrong intentions attached to them. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just my intention was I wanted to be recognized, or I wanted the trophy or the award. And there's nothing wrong with that type of giving, but it's a different level of giving than giving anonymously and without intention. When you do that, you really invoke the law of reciprocity, and you invoke a significant force of energy that's going to head back to you in some way or another.
Yeah, you're so right. Now, why is giving so important for the future of humanity, do you think?
Well, it's the only way. If we can shift people to really finding, having a purpose of making the world better than we found it, and seeking to contribute to humanity in a way where they're giving their wisdom and their knowledge to the next generation, then we will be able to systematically fix the problems that we are facing.
Yes.
The problems that we're facing around pollution and around poverty and war are all a result of people being greedy and selfish and egotistical and power hungry, for that matter. And so giving is the exact opposite of that energy. When you give to a homeless person, for example, you are humbly giving to a person, and you're learning humility in that process. When you give to people that are less fortunate than you, you are going into a state of humility by doing so. And so we just really need the world to shift its energy to that of a giving energy, as opposed to an energy that's taking. We've taken the precious resources out of this planet. Everyone's trying to take from each other in a litigious Western culture that we live in right now. People are suing each other. Everybody's trying to take from each other, and very few people are focused on giving.
Oh. Now, I know that you have a nonprofit of your own that was created in memory of your mom. Tell us a little bit about that and what you're doing.
Well, I started a social enterprise called Altar Call that actually works with various entrepreneurs in a variety of different industries around the world, and teaches them how to integrate cause marketing into their businesses, and how to actually increase the revenue in their businesses and increase the impact of their businesses, and be able to give a greater contribution, not only to their team members, but also to their communities and to the causes that those businesses sponsor. So I have a community of entrepreneurs that are aligned to utilize their vehicle of entrepreneurship as a way to be philanthropic and as a way to make a great impact.
Yeah, the more you can make for yourself, the more you can make a difference in the world, right?
Yeah, and and learning how to scale. I took companies public. I invested in companies. I've had some good fortune as an entrepreneur, and so learning the techniques of how to scale, I wanted to mentor and contribute to people, but I didn't want to create another how-to course or write another book. I've written a couple, and I wanted to create a community where I could inspire entrepreneurs to build their businesses for the sake of giving back and making the world better than they found it, in whatever way, in whatever vehicle that they choose to do so.
So what would you say makes your business unique, do you think?
When you've built enough businesses, there's a lot of similarities. So that's a hard question to answer. Because to me, as a business builder, it's like a home builder. It's building a house. I know how to build businesses. But the thing that makes us unique would be the heart behind it. As you mentioned, when my mother passed away, I had an awakening that I wanted to be of the most contribution that I possibly could be. And I wanted to measure my life not in the awards that I received or the capital I obtained, but rather in the impact that I made and even in the lives that I've saved. And so, I'm proud to say that a number of the initiatives that I've sponsored have actually contributed to life-saving medicines being delivered or life-saving meals being delivered. And so I'll spend the rest of my life, God willing, another 44 years, giving back in the most meaningful ways I possibly can.
That is awesome. Now, you have had a life of a lot of ups and downs. as a young boy. If you were to go back to that young boy and have a conversation with him and give him 3 nuggets of wisdom, and I'm asking this because there could be a young boy who's going to listen to this video who's really feeling at his lowest, thinking, will I ever get out of this situation? A lot of kids are trapped in situations not by their fault, but maybe the parents or just the life circumstances. If you could give that young boy 3 nuggets of wisdom based on what life has taught you, what would that be?
One would be, you are a powerful soul. You're operating literally a supercomputer. The computer that you have in your heart and your brain is more powerful than any computer on the planet. And don't let culture, don't let your parents, don't let your circumstances, don't let trauma, don't let bigotry and racism, don't let anything stop you from maximizing this life that you have. Everything that you dream of is on the other side of you really discovering who you truly are, which would be my second thing that I would share. And so go deeply into self-discovery, go deeply into identifying who you are, why you're on this planet, and how you can best serve. So that'd be number 2. And then number 3, I would say, don't get caught up in other people's opinions. Don't get caught up in comparison. And, the whole world is designed to try to convince you to measure yourself to other people, measure yourself to celebrities, to athletes, to other entrepreneurs, to this person's bank account or that person's Rolls Royce or this person's jet. Don't get caught up in the game of measuring yourself toward others. Just focus on you and your ability to contribute. Add skills each and every single day. Do your very best to become a constant student. I learn more now today and add more skills today and invest more in my learning today than I ever did as a child. So school doesn't end. School only begins when you become an adult.
Yes. Mm-hmm. That's so true, because a lot of times kids think that once they've gone through school, it's done. And yet that's not the case.
Yeah, I try to read at least 1 book a week, if not more, depending on how much time. But the first thing I do every morning is I invest an hour into my reading, and I'm doing so to obtain new skills, obtain a new perspective, and then that fuels my entrepreneurial and creative work that I do as both a writer and a creator of a variety of different companies and things.
Fantastic. So what would you say has been your biggest failure and your biggest success in life?
Well, I've had a lot of failures. When you're an entrepreneur, having run companies that do billions in sales, you have failed products, you have failed investments, you have failure all day long. You have failed relationships, failed investors. I mean, you're dealing with failure nonstop. And that's the secret of being in entrepreneurship is you have to turn being an entrepreneur is you have to turn every failure into something positive by way of learning something deeply from it. So, on the business side of it, I've had some great failures, but, I would say that the biggest failure that I've had is, I was so caught up on the external world and so caught up on the notoriety I was receiving and the money and the fame and the shiny objects that I failed to really go deeply inside of myself. And I damaged some relationships and I wasn't able to be there for my family like I would have liked to. And so if I could go back in time and tell the younger version of myself, what to do, I would tell them to avoid the external and go deeply into the internal. As to my biggest success, that's easy. I have a 12-year-old boy that was suffering from autism, and it was very difficult on him. And I made it my mission to get him the help, along with his mother, to get him the help and figure out how to give him the best chance at having as normal of a life as I possibly could. And I'm proud to say that he's had amazing breakthroughs due to great care and and a tremendous amount of love from me and his mother. And now he doesn't suffer from autism at all, and he's living a very normal life. And so my greatest accomplishment is the healing of my son, by all means.
Oh, wow. That is just absolutely wonderful.
Thank you.
Wonderful. That's such an inspiring story. So now it's coming to Thanksgiving in the United States. What would you like people to do? How can they support you? Where will their contributions go?
They can just reach out to me if you're on Instagram Instagram, I'm at Real Ryan Blair. You can go to altercall.com. That's ALTERCALL.com. And the best way you can support me is do a random act of kindness and just share with me what you've done. My goal is just to see the world giving more and being a better place. And if I can inspire just one of you to do a random act of kindness and reach out to me and share it with me, I would love nothing more than just that.
So for you, you get a kick out of seeing the ripple effect of your work, your way of being transferred to other people, correct?
That's the only currency that I trade in.
I love that. I absolutely love it. So to finish our interview, I'm going to take you now into your future. You talked about the next 44 years, and we're going to meet the older Ryan sitting in your rocking chair, maybe with your grandchildren or your great-grandchildren. If you could have a conversation with this man who has lived this amazing life, given so many, changed so many lives, what would you say to him?
Well, I would just say, wow, you did it. You know, I'd say, you know, well done, life well lived. You overcame great challenges and great obstacles. You transformed into, you know, a beautiful leader and a beautiful heart and a beautiful servant. And, you know, God is proud of you. Your ancestors are proud of you. That's what I tell them.
Well, you certainly are going to leave the world in a better place than it was before you came. So thank you for your work, Ryan. Absolutely inspiring.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
Welcome back, everybody. Another amazing human being. We meet angels on this planet, people who are just trying to make a difference. Random acts of kindness. Right now, with the world in the state that it's in, everybody's hurting. Everybody's seeking connection. It could be a smile at a stranger in a supermarket that can make somebody's day. I think that's what we have to remember during these challenging times. Any feedback for Ryan, people? Because he's going to watch this. So although he's not here, let's just open up the mic, put up your hand if you want to say something. Yes, Selena.
I just checked him on Facebook, and oh, it's amazing what he does. I mean, I think is it prosperity you'll be very happy to know that he's a Christian. He's a brother in Christ. So, I mean, for a man to come out and share his story and, you know, share the love, you know, it's very good. Because some people, they are shy, especially to talk to a group of women and telling them that he was using drugs and doing things. No, but
Yes, a lot of courage.
I'm sure a lot of people are going to get help, especially that now he works for himself. He's an entrepreneur and he's teaching others to be, you know, like financially free. Oh,
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah, what a phenomenal young man.
Yes.
Wow, what a story.
Yes.
And the lives that he's touching and impacting. That's awesome, hey? And just giving. He talks about his son and the healing that has come and, you know, not accepting well, at least he said he had to put some effort to give his life as normal a life as possible, given that he was autistic and he is healed. That's awesome, hey?
Amazing.
Well done, Ryan. What an awesome story. Thank you for sharing with us.
Fantastic. Kim, any input for Ryan?
Oh, geez, I just thought it was totally inspiring. He was, everything he talked about was, you know, it was so much truth involved in what it is to be on the planet today and how you live. I loved it.
There's some phenomenal people on this planet. Fiona, do you have anything to contribute?
Yeah, I want to say he's doing an amazing job and apparently continue to keep on doing, yeah.
And Katina, you want to unmute? Yep. That's
Yes,
your
I'm here.
contribution.
Yes, it's always good, to see people doing work and using the skills that they have to help others. That's why we're here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So true. Absolutely wonderful young man. Okay, so we're going to move on to our next speaker. Her name is Phyllis Williams. Phyllis is based in the United States. Share my screen. Unfortunately, she could not be here with us today. Just let this buffer for a few minutes. We've had some interesting presentations today.
Very interesting and varied.
My name is Phyllis Georgette Williams. I am calling from Fayetteville, North Carolina, in America. I am 37, soon to be 38 years old. And here's a little of my story. Like a good movie, sometimes they start from the beginning, but I'm going to start from a pivotal point in my life. And that pivotal point is when I was asked to speak at a graduation. This was maybe 4 years ago, and it was someone that I had known casually, and they said, Phyllis, I just think you are so bright and creative and just a powerhouse, and I want you to speak at this private graduation. And I was like, she thinks that of me? This lady's pretty impressive, but she thinks that of me. She was from the Maine area or lived there for a while, so she had a different accent than I did and things like that. So I told her, well, I'll think about it. And most times people say, I'm going to think about it. They don't. But she said something before she got off, and it's what I call a God wink. It was, whatever she said was something I had just read in a book about casting your net out, which is from the Bible. So she spoke of that, and I was like, wow, I just read that in an inspirational book. So I told her I'll do it, and I went there, and I was just my natural self, and I spoke, and I was on the stage for people with doctoral degrees, and I was like, well, I don't have a doctoral degree, but I think that was a pivotal point in my life where I was. It's not where I came from. It's not what I've been through. It's who I am now. And all of those experiences shaped me. Prior to that, you would think I would be very brave because I'm a Marine veteran and I did 2 tours in the combat zone. But there's a different type of bravery in discovering yourself.
Wow. What an amazing story. What I do love is that the universe gives us signs, God gives us signs. I call them my little synchronicities, those little coincidences where it's a quote in a book or something someone will say that kind of guides you that you are on the right path. You know that I'm talking to people about self-confidence and building self-confidence and how to get to that point. And just reading your bio and your background, self-confidence wasn't something that came naturally to you, but you kind of went outside of your comfort zone and put yourself in a very uncomfortable position. And now you've developed this knack and this skill for someone who isn't an extrovert, somebody who's quiet, who's soft-spoken, who doesn't feel comfortable being in public, based on what life has taught you up to this point, what 3 nuggets of wisdom would you give them?
The 3 nuggets of wisdom I would get them is introverted people are still powerful people. We may not speak in front of the room. That may not be the case every time, but just play on your strength. Is that connecting with people as they enter the room? Can you be a greeter? So one nugget I would be is play on your strength. The second nugget would be start small. If you have to just give the announcement at a function, do that for a few weeks or a month until you start to become more confident saying, well, I know I'm really good at this. What's next?